the choice is so wide at the same time. Whether we're talking about like friendships or like romantic relationships, like dating apps and like social media. I think the choice is so wide, and that creates that feeling that maybe there's something better out there.
This is By Joyan Season 2. I'm your host, Joyan Chan, and every Wednesday we bring you inspiring stories, powerful message, and fun conversations with me and my special guests and friends, and it's my personal mission to empower you to live and lead a life with joy. This podcast is for you if you're looking for more joy, courage, passion, and purpose in your life. Now let's dive into today's episode and get ready to laugh, learn, and live your life to the fullest. Our guest today is a life and personal development coach. She graduated from the famous Jashati Certification School, and now she works with young women and help them increase inner confidence and build a meaningful relationship with themselves. She believes that everything starts from within, and the way we treat ourselves reflects in the external reality. And she's here today to empower you with the practical tools that will improve your mental health, increase your confidence, and fight the pandemic of loneliness. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, help me in welcoming Patrycja Carriers. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
The first place that I want to start with you is about loneliness. And you mentioned that you want to help fight loneliness. And so, what do you think are the biggest reasons people feel disconnected, people feel lonely today?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that one of the biggest challenges that especially young women face today is constantly comparing themselves to others. And this is especially through social media. And I think it's so easy to get caught up in that highlight of other people's lives and, that perfect image out there and feel like you are not enough. And the belief that I am not good enough, I believe that's probably one of the most deeply rooted and common limiting beliefs that many of us carry. And, another big challenge is struggling to find that deeper purpose that we all need. So many young women want more from life, they crave that meaning and that fulfillment. But we are not really taught how to figure that out and how to really figure out how that look like for us. The society teaches us that we should go to college and get a degree and then get a job in that field and spend many years in the job and climb the ladder and then get married and have kids, right? And I feel like so many of us follow that path that was not really ours in the first place. This is what we were taught. So that causes, unfulfillment and burnout. And this is how so many of us feel lonely and unfulfilled. That brings me to that another big challenge of today's world, which is loneliness. And, recent study shows that, about like 28% of young people aged from 19 to 29 experience significant levels of loneliness. And that number only goes up with time.
Wow. So when did you personally struggle with what everything we just talked about, loneliness, low self-confidence, right? I'm not good enough. Did you struggle with that? Which is why you want to become a coach, to help people overcome the similar challenges?
That's a good question. Yes, in some ways. I like my career has been quite chaotic. I studied fashion marketing a few years ago, and when I was younger, I always thought that that was like my big dream, to work in fashion and work for this like big fashion company. So I graduated and then I spent quite a few years working in the industry doing PR and marketing. And, I found myself changing jobs very quickly because I couldn't find that right place for myself. And I think it's also good to like change jobs and like try different things, especially when you're young, just to
Yep.
see what you like and what you don't like. However, I think I was craving something more. I wanted that fulfillment, and I wanted to do something meaningful and have an impact, on like other people's lives. So it was very lonely. It was very lonely, like going to the office every day, 5 times per week, doing something that you don't like,
Right.
um, feels very lonely, And I think we are not taught how to live differently, how to find that purpose that we crave. And I think also when you are a young person and you want to change something like within your career, like let's say you want to change fields, I think the society is not created for like people who want to like have that big change, like everyone wants that experience from you, everyone wants those like few years of experience.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to like get into it. And so yeah, going back to me, I was definitely lonely. I also live in London, so it's such a big city and there are so many people around me. But yeah, like sometimes like it feels very lonely, especially when you do something that you don't want to do. And with time, especially in the age of social media and in that digital age, I think we that feeling of loneliness and isolation like only goes up.
Why do you think you mentioned something really interesting? Like, why do you think you were lonely in a big city? Like, why do you think in a big city,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's a tendency that we'll feel lonely? Why is that?
Yes, I think that first of all, when you are an adult, I think we form like close relationships very differently to how we did it when we were younger, right? When you were a kid or a teenager, you were always like around people your age, right? And your free time was focused on fun and like spending time with your friends or like other uh, classmates. And then when you are in your 20s, um, and you go to college and then you graduate from college, people go their own ways, right? Some people go to bigger cities, some people stay in their hometowns, some people get married, and some people maybe start to travel. So it's much harder to form those relationships
Mm-hmm.
when you are older, when you are an adult. And I think when you're an adult, you bond over something different to when you bonded when you were younger. So, we naturally want to be around like minded people, right? So, people who have similar interests, people who have similar values, people who have similar beliefs, right? And when you live in a big city where everyone is busy and always on that go, go, go mode, it's, really hard to build those relationships,
Yeah.
right? And also, I think the choice is so wide at the same time. Whether we're talking about like friendships or like romantic relationships, like dating apps and like
Mm-hmm.
social media, I think the choice is so wide. And, that creates that feeling that maybe there's something better out there.
Right.
Um, so we just always feel like maybe like we should explore more. Yeah, it's just like people are more inconsistent. So, and that can create also that feeling of loneliness and maybe not being good enough.
Yeah, I really want to talk to you about dating apps, but let's save it
Yeah.
later. And before that, so do you believe we can truly feel fulfilled, happy on our own, single, or without a partner, right? Without someone, or
Yeah,
do you believe that connection is always necessary?
I think that first of all, I believe that the relationship you have with yourself and how you value yourself, that reflects back to you. That affects every relationship that you have in your life, right? So, that self esteem is, you know, how you see yourself and how you like like the value you believe that you bring to the world, right? It's so important. And when you have high self-esteem and you truly love and accept who you are, that will create that ripple effect. And the outside reality reflects them back to you.
Mm.
And you know, then you make healthier choices and set stronger boundaries and attract like better relationships that reflect that love that you have for yourself. But when you have low self-esteem, it can feel like almost nothing you do is ever good enough. You know, you may struggle to trust your own decisions, you might seek external validation, and you can settle for less than what you deserve. So what I mean is that ultimately your life becomes a reflection of the way that you value yourself. So I think that yes, it's
Mm.
completely possible to be happy being single. But at the same time, we do need, you know, we as humans, we need that connection. We were wired to thrive in communities, right?
Mm.
But I think it starts with building that strong relationship with yourself and knowing who you are and accepting who you are, and then connecting with others.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So what does so for people who are listening, yes, we know we need to cultivate self love. We need to
Yeah,
positive to ourselves, right? So what does building a strong relationship with ourselves look like in daily basis? What are
sure.
some small habits or practice or powerful, that help
Yeah.
you personally cultivate this relationship with yourself?
Sure. You know, I think that looks very different to every person, but I think, you know, it all starts with small intentional steps, just like you just said. So, you know, firstly, focus on working on yourself and get clear on your goals, what you want your life to look like. Identify your limiting beliefs. So, like, what's holding you back from getting to where you want to be, and to work on that relationship you have with yourself and your self concept. Because when you like and accept who you are, you will less likely seek that external validation from others that we were talking about. And then, you know, also find a community of like minded people who uplift and inspire you, and surround yourself with others who, you know, share similar values and goals that can really help you feel supported and less alone in your journey. And, you know, also I think that taking regular breaks from social media
Mm.
and just spending time reflecting on like what truly matters to you outside of external expectations is really important. So I would say, you know, you have to quiet that external noise and quiet the mind and just listen to your intuition. And, you know, practicing gratitude and celebrating, you know, small progress, like no matter how small, is also very, very important.
Yeah.
And, you know, those small steps, those small habits will create that foundation of, you know, confidence, and that will, you know, make you feel better.
Mm. Yeah, I just want to say, being alone or being single doesn't mean you are lonely, right? Because this is the
Yeah.
the stereotype that I always hear, which is, you're single, you must be lonely. No, I'm not, right? I'm
Yeah.
single and I'm fabulous. I'm feeling awesome, right?
Yeah.
So why okay, before that, and I just want to say that we should be so grateful. Yes, social media, is
Yeah.
we know that it has more negative effect on us than versus yes more but the thing is we should be grateful for that because we can be in community, right? Let's say for example you are in a big
Yes.
city and you cannot find people in your area, but you can always connect
Mm-hmm.
with people internationally, online and through social media, through internet, right? And
Yeah.
that's something we should be really grateful for.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about dating apps because
Sure.
right, why do you think dating has become so hard, especially for young people today? Because that is like the top challenge that I see and hear over and over again.
Right. So I think, you know, social media and dating apps, you know, like that was made in the way to make us feel like, you know, we should do more and have more and ideally be somewhere else, right? So that sense of this connection deepens when those online interactions can lack depth and authentic connections.
Mm.
Um, and that pressure of creating that perfect online persona can make it harder for individuals to form those genuine and meaningful relationships. So for young women, like navigating the world of dating online, I think it's essential to prioritize that self-awareness and that relationship that you have with yourself. And as we talked before, like knowing who you are and what you truly value will definitely help you set boundaries and recognize what you really want and need in a partner. And as we live in a world where dating apps have made it so easy
Yeah.
to meet other people, and I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with dating apps, but I think it's more about how we use them. And especially these days, that dating apps can sometimes contribute to this culture of casual relationships and situationships, where that endless options make us feel overwhelmed. And that fear that, oh, there's something better out there and I might be missing out on something better, um, that causes to like constantly move on, without even giving a really chance, um, someone, right? And on the other hand, ghosting has become far too common, and this lack of communication can leave many people feel overlooked and confused and desperate, right? Like we are chasing those unavailable people. We are questioning our worth, which can affect our mental health, can cause those feelings of loneliness that we were talking about before. So I think there's nothing wrong with dating apps. It's just about how we use them. Yeah, like how we use them, and those like daily habits, right?
Mm. Yeah, you're so right. And just going back to what we said earlier, which is, even just career, right? We said, um,
Yeah,
yeah, we should try, we should explore, right? And try new things when we are still young. I believe people adopt the same mindset when it comes to dating.
yeah.
Like one of the best, not the best, one of the worst advice that I've ever heard received in dating is like, just go and date as many people as you can. You will figure out what you want. I was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's like the worst thing to do, right? Because I need to know what I want first. Then I will go and kind of look for that person. It's kind of like, yeah, again, but I don't know. What do you think in terms of exploring options? Trying as many as possible in dating. Like, would you give the same advice? Given earlier when it comes to career.
Yeah, I think that exploring your options is great, right? Because that teaches you like what you want and what you don't want, what you want from a potential partner, and what kind of life you would like to build for yourself. So I think especially like in your 20s. Or like even 30s, I think it's great to like explore those options, right? But I think we also need to remember that our actions impact other people and like how they feel, right? So I think there's nothing wrong with going on a couple of dates with someone and then changing your mind, right? We are just human, and just because we are attracted to someone at the beginning, and as that relationship develops and we get to know them better and better, we might change our mind, and I think it's fine. It's just about like how we act on that. As we talked before, like ghosting is such a big thing today. People feel like it's easier to disappear instead of maybe like explaining themselves or explaining how they feel, and they don't take responsibility for us. And we have to remember that a lot of people are affected by that kind of behavior, and that can stay with them for a very long time. That might cause them to think that they're not good enough, that there's something wrong with them, that they're lacking, and that can really impact you know the future of the dating. So yeah, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with exploring your options and exploring what you want. But we have to be very mindful, like how we approach that.
Yeah, you're so right, right? Because I love something you just said. Our actions impact other people, right? And we have to be responsible and mindful about
Yeah.
our actions. And even like
Mm-hmm.
how do we I believe dating is just like social media. It can be so superficial. Basically, you're just creating this
Mm-hmm.
persona about yourself, how you want people to see you, the best version of you, right? So they can swipe left or right. I don't know. And so, how do we seek deeper, like really, truly, genuine, authentic relationship when using dating apps? Because I feel like it's really superficial, right? It's just about swiping left
Mm-hmm.
and right, and it's just looking at their pictures and deciding whether you like them or not.
Right.
I mean, that's just like, wow, I can't believe it.
Yes, I think, to be honest with you, I don't think that there's like a specific way. It's hard, right? Because as you said, it can be superficial. We just see someone's profile, we just see their pictures, and we just see what they want us to see, right? It's not really like a real person. So, how I would approach it is to, like stay cool, like don't have your expectations up. Just, I always say that someone's profile is just their profile. So I would always try to meet that person in real life, as soon as possible, just to see if there's a match, if there's a vibe. And instead of, because I feel like so many women
Mm,
ask themselves, does that person like me? What do they think about me? And I would like to change
yeah,
dialogue and just ask yourself, how do I feel being around them? Do I want to see them again? Do I think that there's something there that I would like to explore with that person, right? So just like you listen to your intuition and act on that instead of listening to those external voices. And also going back to those profiles and choosing maybe what person you would like to go out with. Look for things that you have in common. Maybe they have pictures of I don't know, themselves doing sports or having dogs or walking in nature, like whatever it is, depending on like what you're looking for. But potentially you will be spending a lot of your time with that person, right? So you want to have something in common with them. And I would also say that watch out, those like profiles of people just having pictures of themselves that don't really, say much about them and about their lives.
yeah, all right. So yeah, I really love changing the dialogues. You're so right because so often we ask ourselves, like, what if, what does the person think of me, right, after the date, and
Mm-hmm.
but you don't even like the person, maybe, right? So why do you
Yeah.
care so much about what do they think of you? It's the same when it comes to social media, right? It's not just dating. It's like
Yeah.
every day when you post something, you're thinking, will people like me? Will people judge me? What will people say about my post, right? But you don't. Why do you care, right?
Oh yes, 100%. That external validation is huge, and
Mm,
through working with young women, I've noticed that women very often forget like how unique they are and how valuable they truly are. And I think we're always looking outside of us, like what am I not? What have I not done?
yeah,
And we forget that we already have everything we need, right? But instead of going within and listening to ourselves, we listen to all of those outside voices, and that disconnects us farther from ourselves. But really, what someone else has is, that's not more valuable, it's just different. The experiences and skills that you've developed and the life that you've lived, you have that already within you. You're just not noticing them. So when you notice and value those things, you can use that as in such a powerful way that will move you forward in life, right?
so yeah, why do you think so many people, especially young women, as you said, right, seek external validation? Like, where does it come from?
I think definitely, social media created that image of, that perfect life. That's not really realistic, right? And we have that feeling that, we are not good enough, that we should be somewhere else. Maybe we should do something different. Maybe we should have like different people around us, right?
Mm.
And yes, and we are chasing something that's outside of us all the time. And I think that it's important to understand that we all think, understand, and behave from our own level of perception, right? So that means that other people can also only understand from their own level of perception. It is like we all live in our own small worlds.
Mm.
Um, so when you fully understand this, you realize that nothing is personal, and comparing yourself to others or seeking that external validation is not sustainable, because someone else's perception of you is just the projection of their own beliefs and their own experiences, right? Because we act from what we know and what we've experienced, and our experiences are unique. So nothing really is personal, and comparing yourself to others doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay. So what would be your advice? Let's go back to loneliness just for a moment because again, right, so many young women they feel lonely when they're single, right? And they can't
Mm-hmm.
do things themselves. Like they constantly need someone by their side. And as I was just speaking, guys, I'm thinking of one friend who is always have to be in a relationship, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
she just can't handle being alone and she can't eat alone, she can't go out alone, she can't do things alone. So what would be your advice to people who are single and they're struggling with loneliness, which is why they make
Mm-hmm.
wrong decisions when it comes to dating. They always find the wrong person to be with, right? So, what would
Right.
be your advice to people like this?
I think first of all, I think you need to ask yourself, like, why do you think you always need someone? Like, what is it within you that makes you feel that you can't be alone? And that you will only be happy when you have someone by your side. You have to be very honest with yourself, because probably there's something there. There might be a limiting belief that's blocking you. Start building that relationship with yourself. Start spending time with yourself. Start asking yourself, what do I want? What do I want to do today? What would make me happy today? Is it, and it can be something super small, like going for a walk or taking a bath or do some journaling, like, whatever it is, like, give it to yourself, right?
Mm.
And there are so many also amazing events and amazing classes out there where you can meet young like-minded people. It depends probably on your location, uh, but if you live, in a bigger city, I'm sure there are some events, such as like walks with girls or pottery classes or like sound baths, like whatever it is that you are interested in, like seek those events, seek those opportunities to meet other like-minded people, and where you can connect on a deeper level. And third thing I would say, build that self awareness with yourself. So, what is it that you want? I feel like a lot of people, get into those relationships or situationships, and they don't even know like what they want.
Yeah.
They don't know what kind of relationship they want, what they want from a potential partner, or what they want from your life, really. So just be very mindful and start asking yourself those questions.
Mm.
um, and yeah, just listen to your intuition, because you have to, in life coaching we always say that life coaching is not about giving you the answers, it's just guiding you towards your own answers, because they are already within you. So just trust that you already know. You just need to stop listening to that external chaos and just start listening to yourself.
Yeah, which is you just have to spend time with yourself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, I love this conversation so, so much. And do you have anything that you really want to talk about? Perhaps I didn't ask you or didn't let you today?
Mm, you know what I, you know, my main message is what we already talked about. That that relationship that you have with yourself and how you value yourself will affect every area of your life. So having that high self-esteem and accepting who you are um, will move you forward in life. So working on that is truly the foundation to everything that you want.
Yeah. And you already shared a lot of practical tools with our listeners today on how they can start building that relationship. And I would say just by listening to this podcast, right, is already a great start, right? You are listening to this, you're joining us for this conversation and to start building stronger relationship with yourself. And I believe you are listening to this podcast on your own. So yeah, that's a great start. So we always end with our final five rapid fire questions. Every question has to be answered in either one word or one sentence maximum. Are you ready?
Yes.
The first question is, what is one thing you wish you knew earlier?
Ooh, the power of self-love and building a strong relationship with myself.
Beautiful. Second question, if you could relive one day of your life, which day would it be?
Wow. Family holidays in a warm place where Europe was in the middle of winter.
I love that. I love how specific it was. Right. Yeah, I know London can be cold. The next question is, if you could master one skill you don't currently have, what would it be?
Hmm. Self-regulating anxiety every time it arises.
Love that. Is it something that you are learning right now?
Yes and no. I don't deal with extreme anxiety,
Yeah.
but it comes and goes. And I just know how horrible it can feel. And yeah, just mastering how to deal with that, and how to self-regulate those emotions would definitely be a great power to have.
Yeah, it is definitely. The next question is, if you could instantly solve one problem in the world, what would it be?
Loneliness.
That was quick. Love that. The last question is, what brings you the greatest joy?
What brings me the greatest joy? Loving and accepting the person that I am, and looking forward to the next version of myself that I'm becoming.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Now tell my people where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can connect with you, and they wanna interested in your work. Where should they go?
Sure. So I have a website. It's patrycyacoach.com. And you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok, which is at patrycyacoach.
Awesome. Now, thank you so much again, guys. I would love for you to follow her. I'll put all her links in the show below. Also, remember to like and subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. I will always leave you the same as I leave you every other episode. Show up. The world needs you, and you need you. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a joyful and amazing day ahead. Thank you again for tuning into 5 Joy Joanne podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot and share it on your IG story and take 5 Joy Joanne _podcast so I know you are listening. And leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already done so. And remember to hit the subscribe button whether you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or any of your other favorite platforms. If you love what we are doing and want to become one of our sponsors, you can send me a DM to connect. And thanks for being here. I will see you soon in the next episode.